Chapter 45-59. Hearing the words of a group of semi-saints from the Qingyun sect, Fu Liangming seemed to have grasped the last straw, and was so excited that he was about to cry. Qingyun Shengzong is reliable. Something is true. It is not in vain to be attached to it. A few half-saints, for him, dare to challenge the saint. Sacred Qingyun sect? However, what Fu Liangming and a group of half-sages of the Qingyun sect didn't expect was that after hearing the words of the Qingyun sacred sect's half-sages, the young man in purple just glanced at the Qingyun sacred sect's group indifferently, and a twitch appeared at the corner of his mouth. Smiling contemptuously, his gaze returned to Fu Liangming. "Give you 3 breaths." Duan Lingtian looked at Fu Liangming and said as if no one else was there, "Within 3 breaths, if you haven't said who the person who joined forces with you to kill you Yi Bansheng, I'll check it myself." As soon as these words came out, Fu Liangming's expression changed drastically. He never expected that the person in front of him would not pay attention to the words of the Qingyun sacred sect's half-sages. He is not even afraid of the powerful saints of the Qingyun sacred sect. As for the Qingyun sacred sect and the half-sages, seeing the young man in purple who was suspected to be a saint and powerhouse so arrogant, their expressions became ugly. "Your Excellency, I don't know which faction saint you are?" a half-sage of Qingyun sect asked in a deep voice. Among the remaining half-sages, 2 people have already sent a summons, which was quickly sent back to the Qingyun holy sect. The target of the summons is none other than the saint and powerhouse of the Qingyun sect. This time, most of them came to the Fu family, and they also received orders from the strong saints of the Qingyun sect to come to see what happened on their behalf. Saints and strong men, while powerful, naturally have heirs, and it is impossible to do everything in person. "Your Excellency, I have sent a message to our Saint Patriarch of the Qingyun sect. Your Excellency, the saint and strong man of our Qingyun sect will come soon. Before he comes, please don't act rashly, Fu Liangming. In view of the general environment, this site may be closed at any time. Please move to the permanent source replacement app, Huanyuan app. Org as soon as possible. Your Mightiness." The half-sages of the Qingyun sacred sect continued to speak one by one, protecting Fu Liangming. Of course, they might not have a deep friendship with Fu Liangming, but they did everything they could to protect Fu Liangming for Qingyun Shengzong's face. From their point of view, if the other party killed Fu Liangming like no one else after they came out, it would be tantamount to rubbing their faces against the ground with Qingyun Shengzong, which they didn't want to see. Don't allow this to happen. And Fu Liangming, just because he heard their powerful words, within 3 breaths, he confessed that he had joined hands with him to kill the person who killed half-Saint Yu Yi. Snort. Duan Lingtian snorted coldly, and after 3 breaths passed, he didn't bother to continue talking nonsense, and 2 mysterious lights shot out from his eyes, like 2 electric snakes, straight into Fu Liangming's eyes. The next moment, a shrill scream resounded throughout the world, but Fu Liangming, who was imprisoned in the void in front of him, trembled violently, as if he was suffering from great pain. At this moment, Duan Lingshan's soul force rushed into Fu Liangming's body forcefully, straight into Fu Liangming's soul. The terrifying soul power made Fu Liangming's soul tremble, and at the same time made Fu Liangming realize a question that horrified him. Wrong? Wrong. He's not a saint. The soul power of a saint cannot be so terrifying. It's not that Fu Liangming has never been in touch with saints. He has seen the 2 saints of Qingyun sacred sect, and even received guidance from them. Even, one of them used the power of his soul to evolve the profound truth of the law to help him practice. However, even the power of that person's soul is completely worthless in front of the power of soul that invaded his body at this time. Even, this domineering soul power, after entering his body, entered his soul, causing his soul to shatter in an instant, and his consciousness also wilted in a blink of an eye, even dying like a dying candle. He is definitely in existence above a saint. Is it that Feng Qingyong? Or that Duan Lingtian? Duan Lingtian. Duan. Could it be that he is the clansman of that semi-sage Duan Yue? With this thought, Fu Liangming's heart was filled with despair, and in this despair, his consciousness was completely obliterated. The originally dull eyes suddenly became dull. The head also suddenly drooped. The breath of life quickly disappeared. Boom. Rumble. Bursts of thunder sounded in the sky, and the clouds that had dissipated originally gathered together again at this moment. The sky, which was originally clearing the clouds to see the sun, fell into darkness again in an instant. Bursts of blood rain poured down from the sky. The shrill howling of ghosts and wolves also rushed into everyone's ears at this moment. And, after this horrible vision of heaven and earth appeared, it continued to spread in all directions, causing all parties to shake again. Same daytime, not long after, in the same direction, a similar vision of heaven and earth appeared again. In the rain of blood all over the sky, there seemed to be a bright blue light shining on the sky and the earth, but after a moment of stalemate, it disappeared completely. Another half-saint has fallen. It's still in the same direction as the Fu family. This time, the one who fell was the semi-sage who was good at the law of wind. First, the semi-saint who was good at the laws of the gold system fell, and now a semi-sage who is good at the laws of the wind system has fallen? If I remember correctly, the newly promoted half-sage of the Fu family is good at the laws of the metal system. Another veteran half-sage of the Fu family, Fu Liangming, is good at the laws of the wind system. God. The two half-saints of the Fu family were killed on the same day, right? The Fu family, who did you offend? As the saying goes, it depends on the owner to beat a dog. If the opponent is so strong, isn't he afraid of offending Qingyun sect? This time, amidst bursts of exclamations, figures began to gather from all directions, gathering around the Fu family's residence. Soon, they saw Fu Liangming, whose body was broken into pieces and scattered in the wind. It's Fu Liangming's semi-sage. The person who killed him was the young man in purple? Those on the other side seemed to be half-sages of the Qingyun sacred sect. At this moment, Duan Lingtian and the Qingyun sacred sect's semi-sacred people seemed to be the focus of the crowd who came to watch the excitement. Duan Lingshan's face was calm. His eyes were calm. Just now, through the secret method of the soul, he has extracted from Fu Liangming's soul the memory of the sister Yu Wei who killed him. The general soul secret method can't deal with the strongest. However, the soul secret method he used just now came from the memory of the old man Wukong before the historical partition, and his soul realm completely crushed Fu Liangming, so it was not difficult to use this method on the other party. From Fu Liangming's memory, Duan Lingtian learned that when Duan Yue was killed, there were two other half-sages who joined forces with Fu Liangming. One surname is Han, and the other surname is Tuoba. Yu. After the Qingyun sacred sect's half-sages came back to their senses, they were all very angry, and one who looked quite old was even trembling with anger. You actually killed Fu Liangming in front of us. Are you determined to be an enemy of our Qingyun sacred sect? There was a little more questioning in the tone. Before the other half-saints of Qingyun's sect had time to condemn Duan Lingtian frowned impatiently and spoke. Crack. He had long been annoyed by the blind-eyed guise of Qingyun's sacred sect, but now he was beeping again and again, which made him unable to ignore it anymore. As soon as the impatient voice of quacking came out, it popped out with a finger. In an instant, the void shook. Next moment, the aged half-sage Qingyun sect suddenly froze, and then a blood hole appeared between his eyebrows. Then, centering on the blood hole, a storm of space raged, smashing him into powder in an instant. In an instant, the vision of the half-holy fallen into heaven and earth that had not yet dissipated became more and more gloomy. Just because another vision of heaven and earth with a fallen half-saint appeared, the rain of blood, which had been gradually decreasing, poured down again in an instant. Chapter 45-60. There was a dead silence. The people who were bathed in the blood rain looked at Duan Lingtian again. Only panic left. This is true even for the remaining half-sages of the Qingyun sacred sect. One by one is like a mouse seeing a cat. Especially one or two half-sages of the Qingyun sect who wanted to scold Duan Lingtian just now, but before they had time to speak, they were all frightened into a cold sweat. Fortunately, I'm not the first to speak. It is conceivable that if they were the first to speak, They must have been killed just now. He dares to kill even the half-saint of the Qingyun sect? In the Fu family's residence, the most powerful members of the Fu family, who were at a loss and even desperate because of the successive fall of the two halves of the family, looked at Duan Lingtian in a daze. Who is this person? It's a bit too domineering, right? Isn't he worried that he will usher in the wrath of the saint of Qingyun sect? Those who were also frightened by the scene in front of them, as well as a group of people who rushed over to watch the excitement, felt their scalps go numb at this moment, thinking that this young man in purple was too courageous. If he doesn't have a strong background, I'm afraid it will be difficult for him to bear the anger of Qingyun sect this time. Yes, although he is a saint, there are two saints in Qingyun holy sect. One of them is the top saint who became famous in the world, and even the world many years ago. Qingyun Shengzong sighed. Along with several semi-sages who went to Fuss House, they came back with a summons and asked the saints to take action. One of the saints set off soon. However, not long after he left, within the Qingyun sacred sect, a soul card shattered, causing a great commotion among the senior leaders of the Qingyun sacred sect. Elder Crane Fox has fallen. Elder Hahu, didn't you just go to the Fu family with a few others? Could it be that the saint who killed the semi-saint of the Fu family was killed together? It's okay to kill the half-sage of the Fu family, but dare to kill the half-sage of our Qingyun sacred sect? A saint of which force? Is this trying to start a war with our Qingyun sacred sect? The killing of the Qingyun sect's half-sage shocked the Qingyun sect, and at the same time made another sage of the Qingyun sect unable to sit still. This saint of the Qingyun sacred sect has always been in existence that never sees the end of the dragon in the past, either in retreat or on the way to retreat. A novel app that has been running stably for many years, comparable to the old version of the book-chasing artifact, the source-changing app used by old bookworms, Huanyuan app. Org, however, because of the appearance of the Tian Tower some time ago, he saw the hope of stepping into the Xian 7th level, so that he did not continue to retreat. During this time, he was also thinking of various ways how to enter the Tongtian Tower. The current Tongtian Tower is guarded by Feng Qingyang, the first strongest 7th level powerhouse since the history was cut off, and the other party said that anyone who wants to enter the Tongtian Tower will undoubtedly die. Unexpectedly, before he could think of a solution, the backyard of his home caught fire first. A half-saint of Qingyun sect was killed. Crane Fox. This semi-sacred man is still his nephew, and the other party's achievements today are inseparable from his many times of help over the years. I want to see which saint of power dares to indiscriminately kill people from my Qingyun sacred sect. Wearing a light gray robe, the tall old man with white hair and childlike face had a cold light in his eyes. He disappeared in the same place in an instant, and when he reappeared, he had caught up with another saint who had just left not long ago. Uncle, why are you here? The saint who set off first from the Qingyun sacred sect, a middle-aged man, couldn't help being startled when he saw the old man chasing him. The Crane Fox is dead, the old man said in a cold tone. Junior brother Crane Fox? The face of the middle-aged man changed drastically, but he knew that, together with the other semi-sages of Qingyun sect, the one who set off for the Fu family first was that junior brother Hahu. Now, he is dead. It goes without saying who killed it. Is he so courageous? How dare he even kill the half-saint of our Qingyun sect? The middle-aged man's tone was low, and his eyes were full of anger. Snort dash. The old man snorted coldly. His eyes were full of murderous intent. No matter what force is behind him, if he dares to kill someone from Qingyun sect, he will pay the price this time. Walk. Come with me to meet him. The two saints rushed at full speed, and it didn't take long to arrive near the Fu family's residence. Even before showing up at the scene, the middle-aged saint had already made a move from the air, and the terrifying power traversed the sky, passed through the unabated rain of blood, and swept across the entire Fu family's residence. Sweeping out at the same time, there is also a majestic and vast spiritual consciousness. The strength of this spiritual consciousness, once enveloped, almost everyone felt a great pressure in the air above the Fu family's residence, and even in the vicinity. It was like a towering mountain was pressing on him. Saint Consciousness? There are many powerful people in the Fu family. Their eyes flashed suddenly. At this moment, they all guessed where the master of this consciousness came from. It must be from Qingyun Shangzong. The saint and strong man of Qingyun sect is here. Today, you may have the opportunity to witness a battle between saints. A group of people who came to watch the fun showed anticipation in their eyes. And the few remaining half-sages of Qingyun's sacred sect finally breathed a sigh of relief after realizing this divine sense. At this moment, they have a sense of security. Before that, they were all worried that the purple-clothed youth would do nothing but kill them all. But, fortunately, the other party didn't move too much, just stood there with eyes closed and rested. Now, Duan Lingtian already knew who the other two half-sages who killed his sister Yue were, but they were not in a hurry to find each other. After all, the other party may not be in their lair yet. Through Fu Liangming's memory, he also knew that Fu Liangming had never seen those two people since he killed Duan Yue. Sacred Qingyun sect? After killing the half-sage of the Qingyun sect, Duan Lingtian naturally knew that the saint of the Qingyun sect would show up soon after hearing the whispers of everyone present. Qingyun Shangzong is in existence as famous as the Bibo Tianfu where he used to be. The saint inside is extremely powerful, and he was an unrivaled existence in the eyes of him in the past, but he is nothing in front of him now. It's possible for Qingyun Shangzong to capture those two people and bring them to me. From Duan Lingshan's point of view, those two were also half-sages of the subsidiary forces of the Qingyun sect, and it was only appropriate for the Qingyun sect to arrest them. As for whether Qingyun Shangzong listened or not, dare to be disobedient? Suddenly, Duan Lingtian seemed to have noticed something, raised his brows. There are two saints here? The moment Duan Lingtian thought this together, all the semi-sages present also sensed the second powerful divine sense, which swept across the Fu family's residence in a blink of an eye. The two saints of the Qingyun sect come out together? It seems that Qingyun Shangzong is really angry this time. Everyone was in an uproar. Everyone present had already guessed that Qingyun holy sect would come with saints, but the arrival of two saints still surprised many people. Some people even showed anticipation in their eyes. I really didn't expect that the ancestor of the Qingyun sect, who has always been a dragon but never sees the tail, is here this time. I have never seen his true face. At the same time as the second divine sense swept over, an aged and deep voice resounded at the right time. Which force do you come from? Kill me, Qingyun sacred sect's half-sage. Kill my Qingyun sacred sect's subordinate force, half-sacred. Are you trying to make an enemy of my Qingyun sacred sect? Chapter 45-61. Wearing a light gray robe, the tall, white-haired old man with a childlike face was filled with a monstrous anger at this moment on his face that was considered kind at first. Qingyun's sacred sect is where he stayed for most of his life. Ever since his master brought him back to Qingyun's sacred sect, he has never seen anyone who dared to kill the Qingyun sacred sect's semi-sage indiscriminately and provoke Qingyun's sacred sect. Although the semi-saint is not the most powerful existence in the Qingyun sacred sect, it is also one of the top existences, second only to the saint. Although Qingyun Shangzong is a saint force, for many years, there have been at most two saints at the same time, never more than three, and often only one. It is also because of this that the semi-sacred, placed in the Qingyun sacred sect, is definitely a pillar existence. And today, in the area of Qingyun sacred sect, not only the half-sacred forces protected by Qingyun sacred sect were killed two half-sages in a row, even one of their half-sages who went out from Qingyun sacred sect died. Don't say that since I entered the Qingyun sect, this kind of thing has never happened in the Qingyun sect area. Even in the ancient history of the Qingyun sect, this kind of thing has never happened. He now feels that if he has no hope of stepping into the seventh stage of the Supreme Realm and falls under the Supreme Tribulation in the future, he will have no face to face the ancestors of the Qingyun sacred sect. I've never seen Master Uncle lose his composure like this, angry. The middle-aged man who barely followed behind looked at the back of the old man in front of him, and it was not difficult to feel the terrifying aura emanating from the old man at this time, as well as the terrible anger and killing intent contained in it. He knew that his uncle, who was always kind in front of people, was really angry this time. However, he can also understand. Even him, the anger is soaring at this time. If the other party is a saint, if they kill the semi-sages of the semi-sacred force under the Qingyun sect, as long as the other party is willing to cooperate and do some superficial work afterwards, it will be over. After all, no matter if it is a saint from the outside world or the most powerful person from the myriad worlds, they are all extremely powerful existences. If they cannot be killed and escaped by them, it will undoubtedly be a disaster for their Qingyun sect. The other party is hiding in the dark, ready to attack their Qingyun sacred sect members at any time. It is impossible for the members of Qingyun Shengzong to hide in the sect all the time. As for him and his uncle, although they are not afraid of each other, it is impossible to protect the other members of the Qingyun sect at all times. An unknown powerhouse, even for saints like them, should not be easily provoked, unless he can kill the opponent once and for all. Greetings to Master Uncle. Greetings to Master Uncle. Welcome, Master Uncle, Senior Brother. When the old man and the middle-aged man appeared above the Fu family's residence, the remaining half-sages of the Qingyun sect finally breathed a sigh of relief after seeing them. Greeting respectfully, he stepped out of the air and landed behind the old man and the middle-aged man in a blink of an eye. It wasn't until this moment that they truly let go of their suspended hearts. Only because, at this moment, they are safe. Before that, if that powerful saint of unknown origin attacked them, even if they joined forces, it would be difficult to resist. After all, although there is only one realm apart between a semi-saint and a saint, the gap in strength is too great. I am Guolin of the Qingyun sect, and the person next to me is my uncle Zhao Ani. The middle-aged man took a step forward and looked at the purple-clothed youth standing in the void in front of him. His face was gloomy, his eyes were full of anger, and his spiritual consciousness swept out of him, pressing on the opponent's body. Two saints. Facing Guolin's consciousness, Duan Lingtian didn't feel oppressed at all, and even felt as if a gust of wind had blown his cheeks and body. If in the past, the sage in the outer world was comparable to the sixth-level existence of the strongest in all worlds, to him, he was like a high-ranking god, unrivaled, and even the opponent's snap of a finger was enough to wipe him out. And now, a saint, in his eyes, is nothing. However, even so, he is still eager to try, wanting to feel his own strength and the gap between them and them through the saints of the Qingyun sect in front of him. At the same time, the group of people who gathered to watch the excitement also retreated one after another after the two saints of the Qingyun sect arrived at the scene, and retreated to a very far place. I am deeply afraid that the war that may unfold next will affect them and Qiyu. Saint. That was the existence of the combat power sealing in places outside the realm in the past, and even in the myriad realms. Even now, there is an existence beyond the saint-born, but only two people. The saint is still a place outside the world, the existence closest to the ceiling in the world. The two saints of Qingyun sect. I didn't expect Senior Zhaoani to be really alive. Senior Zhaoani, in the past, he was a peerless genius who was famous outside the world. He stepped into the realm of saints a long time ago. He is a group of saints recognized as the strongest outside the world. Master Guolin is not bad. Although he only stepped into the realm of saints a few years ago, he is still a saint. In front of saints, half-saints are like chickens and dogs, vulnerable to a single blow. Yes, otherwise, how could this purple-clothed saint kill 3 half-sages in a short period of time? I don't know where this purple-clothed saint comes from. 9 out of 10 are from the 10,000 realms. The saints in the land outside the realm should all know each other, but listening to what Senior Zhaoani said just now, it is obvious don't know each other. At this time, a group of people watching from afar looked at the purple figure in the distance, and there was another burst of discussion and whispering. Not just them. Even the members of the Qingyun sacred sect present, including the 2 great saints, basically felt the same way. Which realm of the myriad realms are you the strongest? Guolin stared at the purple-clothed youth in front of him, and asked in a deep voice, "If you don't give us Qingyun Shengzong a satisfactory explanation for today's matter, I'm afraid it will be difficult to retreat unscathed." As his voice fell, the old man beside him, his spiritual consciousness further raged out, covering a large area around him in a blink of an eye, as if he wanted to seal off the surrounding area, preventing the other party from having a chance to escape. Facing the menacing Guilin, Duan Lingshan's calm expression finally changed slightly. He smiled calmly and stared at Guilin. Then I would like to see how you make it difficult for me to retreat. His words were like a fuse, which completely ignited Guilin's anger. Then he'll let you see it. As soon as the words fell, Guilin's momentum shook, and the most powerful force swept all directions, and the fiery breath permeated in an instant. But it was he who showed the law of fire in the realm of Dzogchen. In his hand, there was also a knife at the same time. The whole body of the knife was red, exuding endless heat waves. It was not known whether it was due to the material of the blade or the law of fire that Guilin had comprehended. Around Guilin's body, the space oscillated, and the terrifying power even made the semi-sages of the Qingyun sect not far behind look dignified and retreated a certain distance in unison. Only the old man beside him didn't move at all, as if the power in Guilin's body didn't pose any threat to him. And in fact, it is true. Although Guilin has stepped into the realm of a saint, his strength is not much weaker than him. However, after all, he has been immersed in the realm of saints for many years, and in terms of strength, he is still better than Guilin. Even if I haven't seen a few of the world-venerated powerhouses of the myriad realms, I've heard of them, unless he is a newcomer to the 10,000 realms, or a new saint from a place outside the realm. Otherwise, as long as he makes a move, I will know who he is. Zhaoani didn't plan to fight with Guilin, but just stood in place and swept the formation for Guilin. In his view, even if Guilin's strength is inferior to the opponent's, he won't be at a disadvantage in a short period of time, let alone lose. As a saint, even if it is a new saint, it is not an easy task for him, a veteran saint, to defeat him. At least it is impossible to achieve within 100 moves. Wow! Crash! Guilin moved, and the whole person came out holding the knife, like a flaming sword god, flitting across the void, using the law of the fire system of the Dzogchen realm as the main, and the sword way of the four ways of heaven and earth as a supplement, and killed Duan Lingtian. Even, in order to let the other party know how powerful he is, in his body, the blood power belonging to the aborigines of the outside world is constantly sweeping up. People from all over the world have laws and clones. The aborigines of the outside world also have the power of blood as an aid. Even a saint, under the blessing of the power of the bloodline, his strength will be raised to a higher level, because the power of the bloodline is generally assisted to improve on the original basis. The stronger the people from the outside world, the greater the power of the bloodline will improve their power. Roar dash! Roar dash! The howls of beasts that shook heaven and earth vibrated in the void, as if resounding between heaven and earth. But when the power of the blood in Guilin's body came out, a burst of blood suddenly surged on his body, turning into a blood tiger phantom. Just like the blessing of Dharma, once it appeared, it made Guilin's earth-shattering aura further skyrocket. You try to pick me up first, Guilin yelled violently, and the knife in his hand swiped out in a blink of an eye, as if pulling all the power of the flames between heaven and earth and slashed towards Duan Lingshan's place. When the knife was swung, the sky and the earth changed color, and the fire seemed to color the whole world. The phantom of the blood tiger on Guilin's body became even bigger, as if it had turned into an indomitable beast god. Roar dash! The roar of the blood tiger suddenly became louder. The sword light that seemed to have eyes circled an arc in the void and swept towards Duan Lingtian. Even if Daomong didn't target the group of onlookers present, except for some semi-saints, the existences under the semi-saints were all forced back again and again by the terrifying aura extended by Daoguang. Too strong. This is the strength of a saint. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, wherever the sword light passed, the space continued to crack, as if the end was approaching. Chapter 45-62. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Guilin, in the Qingyun sacred sect, is the number 2 person after Zhaoani. As a saint, he used his own strength to protect the Qingyun sacred sect when Zhaoani was usually in seclusion. Although many people thought in the past that even if he stepped into the realm of a saint, his strength was still inferior to Zhaoani. However, today, following Guolin's move, he taught the onlookers a hard lesson. Even if Guolin is not as strong as Zhaoani, his strength is far beyond that of a half-saint. It made the sky and the earth change color, as if the earth-shattering flame blade, tearing through the space all the way, approached Duan Lingtian in an instant, and was about to hit Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Duan Lingtian still didn't see any signs of making a move. What is he doing? It can't be that you were scared stupid, right? It's definitely impossible. As a saint, even if he's not as strong as Senior Zhaoani, he's still not as good as Lord Guolin. The onlookers burst into excitement. You, just this little strength? A calm voice sounded, but Duan Lingtian spoke in a contemptuous tone. At the same time as he opened his mouth, he saw the space around him vibrate and fold like ripples, and then the sharp sword energy spread across and across, killing all directions. Stop! 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 The overwhelming sword glow instantly condensed into a human form in the void, turning into a giant. Then, with a big palm, the giant slapped the menacing flaming blade that seemed to split Duan Lingtian in two. The next moment, boom, there was a loud noise, and there was no aftermath of power raging, only to see the giant's palm fall, and that hand, which was completely condensed from the sword glow, annihilated the flame sword glow in an instant. It was like a small ray of flame being extinguished by someone casually. The next moment, as the giant closed his hand and stopped making any movements, the surrounding space cracks that appeared due to the giant's attack and the passing of the flame blade gradually closed. After the storm, there was peace and calm. How can it be? After a moment of dead silence, Guolin spoke first, his tone full of shock and disbelief. Then, he shot again. It was still that kind of flaming sword glow, which was more powerful than the previous flame sword glow, killing Duan Lingtian. Boom. It's a pity that he still followed in the footsteps of the previous flaming sword light, and was slapped away by the giant. How can this be? So outrageous? Even Senior Zhaoani doesn't have such terrifying strength, does he? A group of people watching in the distance also came back to their senses one after another at this time. Their faces were horrified, and many of them stared wide-eyed, as if they had seen a ghost. The semi-sages of the Qingyun sacred sect also looked at each other at this time, and they all saw shock and inconceivability in each other's eyes. Even Zhaoani. At this moment, the anger towards Duan Lingtian on his face has disappeared, replaced by shock and panic. At the same time, a terrifying divine consciousness swept out from the purple-clothed youth in his vision, instantly crushing the divine consciousness extended by him and Guolin as saints. Puff dash. Guolin was unprepared. He vomited blood on the spot. His complexion was as pale as paper, as if he had been backlashed by divine consciousness. Zhaoani, the #1 member of the Qingyun sacred sect, and a veteran saint with a reputation resounding all over the world, his complexion was also turning blue and white at this time. The blood in his body was shaking, and his soul was trembling. Guolin shuddered, came back to his senses, and when he looked at Duan Lingtian again, his eyes were full of panic and uneasiness, as if a child who had done something wrong saw his parents. Just because he thought of one thing at the same time. Zhaoani had already bowed to Duan Lingtian at 90 degrees and bowed to Duan Lingtian from the air. When he spoke again, his tone seemed a little more trembling. Greetings. Greetings to Lord Duan Lingtian. Lord Duan Lingtian. As soon as Zhaoani finished speaking, Guolin finally came back to his senses. His complexion turned paler, and he bowed his hands tremblingly. Guolin, pay homage to Lord Duan Lingtian. I didn't know your identity just now, and I offended you. Please forgive me. In fact, Guolin also reacted just now. To be able to have such terrifying strength, to crush his full strength with one blow, and even his spiritual consciousness can easily defeat the spiritual consciousness of him and his uncle, except for the two existences who surpassed saints and world-respected realms that appeared some time ago. Who else? Feng Qingyang. When he and his uncle went to Tongtian Pagoda last time, they had already seen each other and recognized each other, and they were not the same person as the person in front of them? Well, the answer is obvious. The person in front of me is another existence who has stepped into the 7th level of Xian, Duan Ling Tian. Even, this one is more terrifying than Feng Qingyang. Feng Qingyang, with the cultivation base of the middle god, comprehend the law to the state of great perfection, and comprehend the way of swordsmanship to the 7th level, with the cultivation base of the middle god. Overcome the taboo realm. The taboo situation faced by the middle level god, if replaced by another middle level who also comprehends the law and swordsmanship to the point where the wind is light, 9 out of 10 can easily overcome it. And like Duan Ling Tian, the high-ranking gods cultivated to survive the taboo realm, based on the calculations of these saints, even if they had Duan Lingshan's conditions when they were in the high-ranking gods, they could face the forbidden realm heavenly tribulation. There is not much confidence in successfully crossing the tribulation. Duan Ling Tian? It's Lord Duan Ling Tian who stepped into the 7th stage of Xian through the announcement of the heavenly Tao some time ago? This is Lord Duan Ling Tian? Damn it. No wonder it's so terrifying. He defeated Master Gua Lin's attack in a matter of seconds, and injured Master Gua Lin with his spiritual consciousness in an instant. A group of people watching from a distance, although far apart, but with their cultivation level, they still clearly listened to the words of Zhaoani and Gua Lin. Because of this, they all responded one after another, unanimously remembered. Some time ago, what they saw was the words of heaven that could be seen by the land outside the world, and even all life in the world. Congratulations to Duan Ling Tian from the Nishan realm. After surviving the taboo realm, he successfully broke through and became the second strongest existence of the 7th level after the historical barrier, surpassing Jesuin and saints. After the history is cut off, the existence of the 2nd Xian of the 7th order, existence above saints and realms. He is Duan Ling Tian? The survivors of the Fu family all showed despair at this time. They never dreamed that this person who broke into their Fu family and killed the 2 half-sages of the Fu family, one after another, turned out to be the one who stepped into the Xian's first place some time ago. Duan Ling Tian of the 7th level. This is an existence above the saint. At any rate, they are people of the semi-holy power, and they have naturally heard that the Tiantian Pagoda where the way of heaven descended is now guarded by another existence of the 7th level strongest, and no saints or world-venerated powerhouses are allowed to enter. In the land outside the world, and even in the 10,000 worlds, there are still many saints and world-venerated powerhouses. But to this day, I have never heard that these existences united to deal with Feng Qingyang and fight for the opportunity to enter the Tongtian Tower. What does this mean? It means that they are afraid of the wind. It shows that they feel that even if they join forces with each other, they may not necessarily be Feng Qingyang's opponents. Of course, it's also possible that they don't want to be that early bird, and they are worried that even if they defeat Feng Qingyang, they will become a victim during the match. With cultivation at their level, it is naturally impossible to take risks and die easily. Unless you are desperate. For example, there is no certainty about the next Xian's catastrophe. However, even if such people are willing to fight, their number is limited after all, and they themselves know that it is difficult to make a big deal in front of Feng Qingyang. Therefore, to this day, everyone is honest and obedient. I'd rather wait a while longer. They all felt that it was impossible for Feng Qingyang to stay there forever. Duan Ling Tian? The demi-sages of the Qingyun sacred sect were also pale at this time. They never expected that the person in front of them was the strong man who was already famous outside the world, and even in the world, Duan Ling Tian. Hu Bai is dead. At this moment, they also realized that the semi-holy crane fox who came with them was dead for nothing. Facing the saint, Qingyun Shangzong can still stand up for Hu, but facing the existence above the saint, even with the power of the Qingyun sect, not only can't do anything, but will be counter-killed. Qingyun Shangzong is destined to admit defeat. Didn't you see that the 2 saints and powerhouses of Qingyun sect have already bowed their heads? Greetings to Lord Duan Ling Tian. Greetings to Lord Duan Ling Tian. Following the Qingyun sacred sect's semi-sages taking the lead, the rest of the Fu family and a group of people who came to join in the fun all opened their mouths to salute Duan Ling Tian. The tone is full of awe. How do you know him, Duan Ling Tian? Duan Lingtian glanced at Zhao Ani in surprise. After all, it was announced by the heavenly Tao some time ago that besides him, there is also his master, Feng Qingyang, who has stepped into the 7th level of Xian. Master Duan Lingtian, I was fortunate enough to meet Lord Feng Qingyang on the side of Tongtian Tower. Zhao Ani responded repeatedly. When Duan Lingtian heard the words, he suddenly realized that he had forgotten about it. Before he came to the land outside the world this time, he also heard from the people who defied the gods that his master Feng Qingyang was guarding the Tongtian Tower, preventing people from outside the world from being exposed. The sages and venerables of the earth and myriad worlds enter. Obviously, this saint of the Qingyun sect has already been near the Tongtian Pagoda and has seen his master Feng Qingyang. Master. Thinking of his master again, Duan Lingtian couldn't help feeling a little excited in the depths of his eyes. When things are over here, let's go see the master first. Speaking of which, I haven't seen master for a long time. He also never expected that his master would walk in front of him and step into the 7th level of Xian first. Master Duan Lingtian, it was I, Guolin, who did not know Mount Tai and offended you. Seeing that Duan Lingtian ignored him, Guolin panicked again. If your lord insists on taking my life, I, Guolin, have nothing to say, but please let Qingyun Shengzong go. This matter has nothing to do with them. Chapter 45-63. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. If it were in the past, Guolin would never have dreamed that he, who had stepped into the realm of a saint, would one day bow his head in fear and beg for mercy in front of someone. The saint, in the past, stood outside the world, even the existence at the pinnacle of the myriad worlds, an existence like a ceiling, so high above you, so mighty, overlook all beings and be invincible in the world. However, all of this, with the appearance of the existence announced by the Tao of Heaven after the two of them passed through the taboo realm of catastrophe and stepped into the 7th level of the strongest, it has completely changed. Big change. In the past, the high-ranking saints and world venerables, the gap that they could not bridge, was crossed by two newcomers later, and they walked ahead of them without warning, which made them unexpected. It's too late when you know it, and you can't stop it. Normal people, who have stood at the top for a long time, who would want someone to overwhelm them. Not to mention those saints in Jesuin who have stood at the peak for a long time. It is Feng Qingyang who dared to step into the 7th level of Xian not long ago. Why do they guard the side of Tongtian Tower and prevent people from entering it? Don't you want them to take a shortcut and catch up with him? If the sages and world venerables in the land outside the world and the world had known that those two rising stars would walk ahead of them and become the first and second existence of the 7th level strongest after the history was cut off, they would definitely not hesitate. Obstruct the other party at all costs, even at the expense of strangling the other party in the cradle. And now, it's too late. For the two opponents, the general trend has come. For example, Duan Lingtian in front of him, as one of them, easily crushed his full blow with every move, and made his heart tremble, realizing the horror of the 7th level. The gap is really too big. That was the gap that made him almost desperate. With such an existence, it was easy to kill him, and killing his uncle Zhaoani was just a matter of gestures, and killing Qingyun's sacred sect was also simple. For Qingyun Shengzong, he bowed his head. There is only hope deep in my heart, without the slightest humiliation. Because, in front of the other party, there is no need to feel humiliated. Any saint or Jesuin would also be powerless in front of the other party. Master Duan Lingtian. Before Duan Lingtian could speak, Zhaoani, who was standing by the side, also said pleadingly, this time, if you can forgive Guolin, forgive Qingyun's sacred sect. From now on, Qingyun's sacred sect, I hope that you, my lord, will follow suit. As the first member of Qingyun's sacred sect, he spoke up. Of course, there is no reluctance. Because he knew in his heart that with such an existence, even if Qingyun Shengzong hadn't provoked the other party this time, if the other party really wanted to subdue Qingyun Shengzong could only accept his fate and had no second choice. Several semi-saints of the Qingyun sect who were standing not far away had their hearts hanging at this moment, fearing that the young man in purple in front of him would kill them and destroy the Qingyun sect in a fit of anger. They're dead, but their family members and disciples are still in the sect. For a moment, their hearts were filled with apprehension and a little helpless. As for the survivors of the Fu family, when they saw the two saints of the Qingyun sect begging for mercy in front of each other, their faces turned pale from fright, and they hurriedly knelt down on the ground and begged for mercy. "My lord, Duan Lingtian, please forgive me, please forgive me. My lord, spare me. I am willing to leave the Fu family. My lord, although my father is a member of the Fu family, he is already dead. I am willing to sever the father-son relationship with him, change my surname from now on, and no longer call myself the Fu family." The group of people who rushed over to join in the fun were also greatly shocked at this time. Although they had long guessed that the strong man who could make Tiandao publicize the Tiandao characters at that time was definitely not an ordinary person, but they did not expect it to be so terrifying. Saints, in front of him, are like chickens and dogs, vulnerable to a single blow. The gap is too big. It's outrageous. It's too strong. If I can have his strength in my lifetime, even if I have to die in a few days, I will be willing. It is even more so secretly in a person's heart. At this moment, Duan Lingtian, who was dressed in purple and stood floating, seemed to have become the master of the lives of all living beings. With a single word, he could determine the life and death of saints, and even the power of saints. In full view, Duan Lingtian glanced at Zhaoani and Guolin indifferently, and said in a calm tone, "Today's matter, if you want to expose it, it's not impossible." Hearing this, Zhaoani and Guolin were both shocked, and their faces showed surprise. "In 3 months' time, I will go to Qingyun Sacred Sect in person, and then I hope to see these two people." Speaking of this, Duan Lingshan's spiritual consciousness extended out, and in the form of a soul picture, he passed on the appearances of the other two half-sages who jointly killed Yuye's half-sage Duan Yue with the Fu family's half-sage back then, and passed them on to them. Both names are attached. Hanjiang, Tuobel Yinqing. They are all half-sages in the area of Qingyun Sacred Sect. Even if the two of them don't know each other, it is impossible for the other half-sages of Qingyun Sacred Sect to know each other. If you catch them at that time, I will not pursue today's matter. If one person is missing. Snort dash. Although he didn't say much, the threatening tone in his tone made Zhaoani and Guolin terrified, and they didn't dare to neglect in their hearts. After the voice fell, Duan Lingshan's figure flickered, and he left the sight of everyone present, as if he disappeared out of thin air. Although, through the memory of Fu Liangming, the semi-sage of the Fu family, he also knew where the two semi-sages usually practiced, but one of them was a casual cultivator and was often away from the training ground. Now that there are two errand runners sent up, he doesn't bother to look for them one by one. 3 months later, just go to Qingyun Sacred Sect to face the two half-sages directly. At that time, it can be regarded as complete revenge for his sister Yue. After Duan Lingtian left, Zhaoani, Guolin, and the half-saints of the Qingyun sect immediately breathed a sigh of relief. The rest of the Fu family also looked like they had survived the catastrophe. Master Duan Lingtian, let the two saints of Qingyun sect help him find someone? Who are you looking for? Is there anyone else who dares to offend Lord Duan Lingtian? A group of people who joined in the fun were discussing and whispering at this time. Of course, there are also some smart people among them. Master Duan Lingtian, the two people who are looking for are probably related to the half-sage of the Fu family. After all, he appeared here this time because he took the initiative to deal with the half-sage of the Fu family. The Fu family obviously offended him. To be precise, it was the half-saint of the Fu family who offended him. After all, the other party has left now and has not done anything to the rest of the Fu family, so it is not difficult to guess something from this. At the same time, several semi-sages of Qingyun Sacred Sect also left with Zhaoani and Guilin. Hanjiang? Tuobel Yinqing? Uncle, you said he asked us to find these two people. Why? Guilin sent a voice transmission to ask Zhaoani. Now, he hasn't recovered from the panic just now. His mind is full of blood, but he deeply remembers who Duan Lingtian asked him to find. He is no stranger to Hanjiang and Tuobel Yinqing. One of them is the most powerful Han family of the semi-sacred force under their Qingyun sacred sect, the only semi-sacred of the Han family, and he has met him several times. The other person, although he has nothing to do with their Qingyun sacred sect, is also a well-known casual cultivator in their Qingyun sacred sect area. Although he has never met him, he has heard of him. If I'm not wrong, it should be that these two people, like the two half-sages of the Fu family, have offended that one. Zhao was much calmer than Guilin. Thinking of the other party appearing in their Qingyun sacred sect area, the first thing he did was to kill the two half-sages of the Fu family. Obviously, this was unlikely to be a whim. They are so courageous, dare to offend such a terrible person? Guilin was taken aback. Hearing Guilin's words, Zhao said angrily, "Don't forget, that person stepped into the most powerful realm not long ago." The text of the Tao of Heaven, the first time it was announced, made him famous outside the world and in the world. He was still a high-ranking god. That one has been away for so long, and you haven't recovered from the shock just now? Zhao seemed a little speechless. Guilin was stunned again when he heard this, and then smiled awkwardly. "I really haven't recovered. The main reason is that I really thought I was going to be killed just now. I'm not afraid of my uncle's jokes. That was the first time I was so desperate in my life. Even before I joined the sect, I was in danger of life and death, but I have never been so desperate." To become a saint, Guilin is naturally not an ordinary person, and his temperament is not bad at ordinary times. But this time, it was indeed that the opponent's strength was too terrifying, which frightened him a lot. Yes, a few years ago, the first time the text of the Tao of Heaven appeared, it was publicized to the quartet, saying that he had survived the forbidden realm of heavenly calamity with the cultivation base of a high-ranking god, and he was the first one to overcome the taboo realm of heavenly calamity after the history was cut off. Figure. Guilin completely remembered. It must be the semi-sage of the Fu family, as well as Han Jiang and Tuobilianqing, who offended him when he was just a high-ranking deity. Zhao guessed and said, "Not long after he stepped into the Xeon 7th level, he came to our side, went to the Fu family, and killed two half-sages in a row, which shows how much he hates the half-sages of the Fu family. If he had known earlier that the people of the Fu family had offended him, and that he was the one who killed the semi-sage of the Fu family, there would be no need for us Qingyun sect to stand up for it. It's a pity, Crane Fox." The semi-sacred Hahu of the Qingyun sect who was killed by Duan Lingtian was also Zhao Enya's nephew. Those two from the Fu family, Han Jiang and Tuobilianqing, are really trash. A flash of contempt and disdain flashed in Guilin's eyes. A high-ranking deity can survive under their noses, and even has such achievements as now. When they offended each other, how good would it be if they could kill each other? It's good now. For nothing, there is an extra existence on our heads in the land outside the world and the world. Certainly. Guilin's words were also spoken by Tranquil to Zhao, but he didn't have the guts to say nonsense on the surface. He was afraid that the other party hadn't left yet, and was just hiding in the dark and staring at them. Chapter 45-64. Hearing Guilin's words, Zhao secretly sighed. Why didn't he scold those trash in his heart? Perhaps those trash, because they saw that the other party was a high-ranking god, could not be a threat to them, so they ignored it. But it was hard to imagine that the other party would fly into the sky one day, surpass them, and destroy their strength with a snap of the fingers. Of course, the past is like the wind, and the matter has come to this point, and those few trash can only bear the consequences of their one-sidedness. At this moment, Zhao and Guilin didn't know. Before that, Duan Lingtian had only met Fu Liangyu, the newly promoted half-sage of the Fu family, but he had never met the other three half-sages. As for the hatred, it is not his own hatred. It is purely for helping others to avenge. Send them back first, and then you and I will personally take action to bring the two of them back to the sect. Zhao said to Guilin. Then Han Jiang must be in the Han family. As for Tuobilianqing, it may not be in his usual training place. Give Han Jiang to me, and Tuobilianqing is up to you to bring it back. If Tuobilianqing is still in his usual training place, you don't have to worry too much about it. Just because he's not there, Whether it is Hanjiang or Tuobilianqing, they are only half sages, and it couldn't be easier for them to bring them back to Qingyun's sect. Even, as long as they issued an order to inform the two of them would not hesitate and would come to Qingyun's sacred sect immediately to meet them. After all, the two of them are also overlords in the Qingyun sacred sect area. If you still want to hang out here, you naturally dare not offend them easily. However, to be on the safe side, the two of them decided to go out in person. 3 months later, when Duan Lingtian came to Qingyun's sacred sect, if he didn't see the two of them, Qingyun's sacred sect would definitely bear his anger, which they didn't want to see. Even if that Tuobilianqing left his cultivation place in Qingyun's sacred sect, I will do my best to bring him back to the sect. In Gua Lin's eyes, there was a cold light that his mother could not doubt, which was fierce and frightening. After leaving the area of Qingyun's sacred sect, Duan Lingtian went directly to the location of Tongtian Pagoda. In the past, the Heavenly Tao publicized the Heavenly Tao text of the Tongtian Tower, which he still remembers in his heart. After the history is cut off, the first Xian of the 7th level appears, and everyone should celebrate it. From now on, a Tian Tower will appear above the Central Sea area of the Outer Worlds. Saints and half-step world lords can go to pass through the level. Once they pass through all the levels and successfully pass the level, they will be able to get a Heavenly Tao talisman, which can block taboos. There are 3 catastrophes. As for which catastrophe to block, you can choose independently. Therefore, he went directly to the sky above the Central Sea area of this outside world. Soon, Duan Lingtian arrived at the destination, and from a distance, he saw the Tongtian Pagoda, which looked like a towering giant mountain, hanging above the sky, with mysterious light shining, extremely gorgeous. Even, far away, he could feel the terrifying aura emanating from Tongtian Tower, as if he was telling others how good it was. The closer the distance was, Duan Lingtian found that he had entered the envelope of a divine consciousness. This spiritual consciousness is much stronger than the 2 saints of the Qingyun sacred sect that he met before, even comparable to him. It is not difficult for him to guess that it is the spiritual consciousness of his master Feng Qingyang. Master! Duan Lingshan's spiritual consciousness extended out, communicated with the coming spiritual consciousness, and greeted respectfully. After the voice fell, he accelerated and reached the side of Tongtian Tower. A familiar figure appeared before his eyes. After many years, the master is still the same as before, but the aura on his body is much more restrained than before, but his eyes are extremely deep, like a black hole in space, mysterious and unpredictable. Xiao Tian. Feng Qingyang stood up, looked at Duan Lingtian in front of him, with a bright smile on his face. I saw the text of the Way of Heaven, and you have also stepped into the 7th level. Congratulations, Master, for becoming the first existence of the 7th level Xian after the history is cut off. Duan Lingtian laughed. He has always been grateful to the master in front of him. The other party is his enlightener in the way of swordsmanship. Without the other party, he would not have grown rapidly in the past, and his progress has been amazing, and the other party has even indirectly helped him many times on his growth path. Many of them were on the line of life and death, saving his life. Master stepped into the 7th level of Xian, and he felt happy from the bottom of his heart. I'm also lucky. I was lucky enough to get the inheritance of the Time Sword Senior, so that I can make rapid progress along the law and achieve today's achievements. Feng Qingyang sighed, and the smile on his face became brighter. Now, both you and my master and apprentice have stepped into the 7th level of Xian, and it will be a good story to spread it. That's right. Most of them now probably only know that the 2 of us came from the God-defying realm, and they don't know the master-student relationship between us. Duan Lingtian nodded, and the curve of the corner of his mouth became clearer. Thank you, Master, for helping Kier get rid of the soul imprisonment. Thinking of his wife Kier, who has been sent into the small world inside his body now, Duan Lingtian thanked him repeatedly. There is no need to be so polite between you and me. Feng Qingyang waved his hands and said, That's your wife, and also my apprentice-in-law. Moreover, even if I don't take action, you can help her get rid of that soul imprisonment at any time. After Duan Lingtian heard the words, he didn't say much on this topic, but his gratitude never diminished. Although the words were just like what his master said, but his master was able to help Kier release the soul imprisonment immediately after the breakthrough, which showed that he was always in his heart as a disciple. For him, take this matter to heart. Xiaotian, what do you think of me guarding the side of Tongtian Tower and preventing those saints in Jesuan from entering Tongtian Tower? Feng Qingyang asked Duan Lingtian. How else can I see it? Duan Lingtian shook his head and smiled, and his eyes turned cold in an instant. If I step into the seventh step before Master, I will also be like Master, guarding here and not letting them go the way of heaven for them. Arranged shortcuts. If I break through first, I'm afraid I will do the same thing that day. Heaven's not fair. Tiantian Pagoda, I didn't see him arrange it before, but now he has arranged it. Isn't this clearly aimed at you and me, Master? Why do we have to face the forbidden realm of catastrophe on our own? But they have a shortcut. After speaking, the smile on the corner of Duan Lingtian's mouth also turned into a sneer. Master, Duan Lingtian continued, after I finish arranging my family and some things, I will come to pick you up and guard this Tongtian Tower. From now on, you and I will take turns guarding the Tongtian Pagoda, and no one can enter. On this matter, he did not intend to give in. As for whether Tiandao will attack them, he really wasn't worried about this. If Tiandao can attack them without any scruples, why bother to create the Tiantian Pagoda? Wouldn't it be enough to just kill them? Moreover, he inherited the complete memory of the super-strong old man Wukong before the historical partition, so he naturally knew that even during the historical partition, Tiandao had never directly killed someone. There should be some kind of restriction. As for the catastrophe of heaven and earth that year, causing all life to perish, returning the world to chaos, and cutting off history, according to the old man Wukong's own guess, it may not necessarily be what heaven did to them. It is very likely that there is another hidden secret. Chapter 4565. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Haha. Feng Qingyang laughed heartily, with a free and easy demeanor. Xiaotian, what you said completely touched my heart. However, you don't need to take turns with me. I just stay here alone. Anyway, it's the same wherever you practice. In the next period of time, you'd better spend time with your family. Having said that, he paused for a moment, as if remembering something, looked at Duan Lingtian, and said solemnly, you must have noticed that after stepping into the 7th level of Xian, the small world in our body has also undergone a transformation. It is enough for many existences below Xian to practice in the closed small world inside the body. The aura near the tree of life is so rich that it will never lose to the place outside the world, or even the place with the most aura in the world. If your family and friends are willing, they can all enter the small world inside your body to practice, and it is safer there. He is a person who can be said to have no worries, but his disciple is different. He has many family members and friends. If he is not careful, he may be used to threaten him. After listening to Master Feng Qingyang's words, Duan Lingtian also nodded solemnly, thought about this question seriously, and felt that it made sense. Certainly. He also knows that although the small world in his body is suitable for cultivation, it is very boring, and not everyone is willing to stay in it. On freedom, or outside freedom. They'll ask them for their opinion then. Duan Lingtian nodded and said, if they don't want to, they'll go to Lord Shao and talk about it. Let the small world in my body replace one of the planes of the gods in the Nishan realm and become one of the planes of the gods in the Nishan realm. The Tao of Heaven is obviously intentionally pointing out a road for saints, and Jiezun to hope to overcome the taboo realm and catastrophe. This is the benefit he gives to those people. But now, this road was blocked by his master and him, preventing those people from going on the road. If it were him who was the Tao of Heaven, even if he couldn't directly attack him and his master, he would try every means to give those saints and masters a chance to go on the road. Master, then I will deal with my affairs first. If you have something to do, you can send the Law Avatar back to the Xia family in the God-defying realm to find me at any time, and I will leave a Law Avatar there. Before leaving, Duan Lingtian greeted Master Feng Qingyang. Good. Feng Qingyang responded and watched Duan Lingtian leave with a gratified smile on his face. At the same time, his gaze fell into the distance, his thoughts wandered, and his memory seemed to return to the scene when his disciple was still in the secular plane many years ago. At that time, he was already the emperor of Nirvana, one of the planes of the heavens, standing high above, overlooking one of the planes of the heavens, and all living beings bowed down. But his disciple has not yet become an immortal. Finally caught up, thinking that before his breakthrough this time, he was surpassed a lot by this disciple. Feng Qingyang sighed again, feeling that he had finally saved his face as a master. Even if he knew that no matter whether his strength was surpassed or not, his disciple would not disrespect him because of it. But deep down he had to admit that he still cared a little. It is something to be proud of that blue comes out of blue and is better than blue, but it is often accompanied by a little helplessness deep in my heart. After separating from Master Feng Qingyang, Duan Lingtian was not in a hurry to return to Nishan realm to find family and friends. It was Feng Su Yufeng, who went to the vast land on one side of the sea area and entered a lofty mountain. The atmosphere in it was so chilling that he almost fell here. Within the mountains, most of the place is barren, and sometimes there are monsters rushing past, rolling up dust, and disappearing in front of them in a blink of an eye. Here, it is the Red Demon Ridge. In the past, he almost fell here. This place was also the first stop on land he arrived at after he came to the outside world and accidentally appeared in the sea area. The owner of the Red Demon Ridge is an extremely strong man named Red Demon, who is suspected to have been seriously injured in the last 10,000 years Xeon tribulation and urgently needs to find a new body to seize. The Red Devil wants to find a new body that fits the conditions as perfectly as possible, because the bloodline's secret method of their family can only use the perfect method of seizing the body once in a lifetime, which is a heaven-defying method that other lives do not have. At that time, Duan Lingtian was considered young, but the Red Devil should have to see whether he met other conditions, so he set up many tests and forced him to participate. However, before the Red Devil finished screening, he escaped from the Red Devil Ridge with the help of others. Red Devil, the old man is here, and you don't come out to see him? Duan Lingtian stood in the sky above the Red Demon Ridge. His eyes were calm, his tone was calm. Although his voice was not loud, it was clearly heard by all the creatures in the Red Demon Ridge. As his voice fell, there were quite a few figures, rising from the sky in the Red Demon Ridge. They were the personal demon guards under the command of the Red Demon, and there were even a few figures that Duan Lingtian had some impression of. Chapter 45-66. Somewhat familiar. The few people who showed up looked at the purple-clothed youth in front of them, and one of them couldn't help muttering to himself, as if he had seen him before. As the puppet centurion of the Lord of the Red Demon Ridge, the Red Demon, he has not left the Red Demon Ridge for many years. In other words, there is a high probability that he met the other party in Red Demon Ridge. Isn't he Duan Lingtian? The other Golem Centurion also felt that the person in front of him was familiar, and soon remembered when and where he had seen each other. It was in the Red Demon Ridge many years ago that he had seen him. The first time I saw each other was when Wu Tsong, the puppet commander, fought against each other. At that time, the opponent was only a middle-level god, but it seemed to be a tie with Wu Tsong, and even broke out in the end, almost escaping from Red Demon Ridge. If Wu Tsong hadn't opened the formation barrier left by Master Chimo Ridge, the opponent would have already escaped. The formation barrier appeared, and Lord Red Demon appeared and took down the opponent. Later, the other party made another attack and powerfully killed Wu Tsong, one of the strongest under Lord Red Demon, in the Red Demon Ridge, shocking all their puppets. At that moment, they knew that looking at the Red Demon Ridge, only Lord Red Demon could hold down the opponent. Originally thought that the other party would eventually become Lord Red Demon's target of seizing the house, but later they were shocked to learn that the other party escaped from Red Demon Ridge under the nose of Lord Red Demon. That time, Lord Red Demon killed many golems to vent his anger in a fit of anger. The entire Red Devil Ridge is bleeding like a river. They never expected that many years later, they would see Duan Lingtian who escaped from Red Demon Ridge again. Was he so courageous? Aren't you afraid that Master Red Demon will take him down? Although Lord Red Demon now has a new body and does not need other bodies to seize the body, it is still an easy task to take down the opponent and make the opponent a puppet. This Ling Tian, since he escaped back then, dare to come back? Several goblin centurions couldn't figure it out. Why did Duan Lingtian, who had already escaped from Red Demon Ridge and regained his freedom, run back to Red Demon Ridge? Although, some time ago, they also saw the publicity of Duan Lingtian in Tiandao script many times. But they didn't contact Duan Lingtian in front of them, they just thought it was a person with the same name and surname. They subconsciously felt that when they saw Duan Lingtian last time, it was not many years since now, so it must be impossible for them to be the same person. Duan Lingtian? The red demon appeared, no longer the body of the past, but another body. The owner of this body, Duan Lingtian, still has some impressions, and he was also one of the young geniuses imprisoned by the red demon back then. After the red demon appeared, his consciousness spread out and swept towards Duan Lingtian, as if he was surprised by Duan Lingshan's return and wanted to spy on Lingtian. Red demon, long time no see. Faced with the sweeping of the divine sense, the terrifying aura swept the four directions, making several puppet centurions retreat again and again. The scarlet demon, but Duan Lingshan's face remained unchanged, and with a calm smile, the divine sense also swept out. For a moment, Duan Lingtian didn't move, but extended an extremely terrifying momentum, pressing towards the red demon. The red devil's consciousness instantly collapsed. Wow dash! Under the oppression of Duan Lingshan's consciousness and the extended aura, the red demon spit out a mouthful of blood without any warning. His complexion was as white as paper in an instant. His childish holes contracted sharply, and his body trembled. Just at this moment, those two heavenly words that he saw a few years ago appeared in his mind without any sign. Congratulations to Duan Lingtian, the high-ranking in the Nishan realm, who has successfully passed through the taboo realm and is expected to become the first 7th-level powerhouse after the history is cut off, surpassing the world's revered and saints. Congratulations to Duan Lingtian from the Nishan realm. After surviving the taboo realm, he successfully broke through and became the second strongest existence of the 7th level after the historical barrier, surpassing Jesuin and saints. There were two heavenly words, and when he saw the first one, he thought of Duan Lingtian, who he wanted to take away when he escaped from Red Demon Ridge. However, he felt that it could not be the same person. When he saw the second heavenly Dao text later, he felt even more impossible to be the same person. Even today, when Duan Lingtian appeared again in Scarlet Demon Ridge and delivered it to his door, he never thought that this Duan Lingtian was that Duan Lingtian. Until this moment, Duan Lingtian crushed his consciousness, and just because of his aura, he vomited blood from the air, wounded his lungs, and the small world inside his body was turned upside down. He suddenly realized the Duan Lingtian in front of him, who he could easily control in the past, is the Duan Lingtian announced by the Tiandao text. Now, one of the two most powerful existences in the world beyond, and even in the world. An existence above saints and world venerables. How can this be? Duan Lingtian. Could it be that he is Duan Lingtian, who was announced by the heavenly Dao text, has stepped into the 7th level of Xian, and is stronger than a saint? Those puppet centurions were also stunned by the scene in front of them at this time, and at the same time thought of the two heavenly words about Duan Lingtian. Their hearts trembled, and they never thought that the situation would change so suddenly. The first time we met back then, he was just a little guy with a middle-level god, but now, he has already stood in a place outside the world, or even the top of the world. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have dared to dream of such an outrageous thing. At this moment, their souls are trembling. Master Duan Lingtian. The red devil was so frightened that he knelt down, trembling all over and trembling in his soul. No wonder this Duan Lingtian dared to go and come back today after he escaped from Scarlet Devil Ridge that year. Not to send him to seek death, but to settle old scores with him. Lord Duan Lingtian, I know that what I did to you in the past will never be redeemed by death. However, I still hope that my lord will spare my life. I am willing to follow my lord and be your slave. After confirming that the Duan Lingtian in front of him was the Duan Lingtian in the text of the Tao of Heaven, the red demon was completely desperate and couldn't even raise the slightest thought of fighting back. How to fight back? He is almost at the bottom of the strongest, and the existence of the fourth-level strongest can be easily killed. What can he use to fight this powerful who is more terrifying than saints and world venerables? Boring. Duan Lingtian shook his head, but he didn't see any movement immediately. Not far away, the red demon kneeling in the void suddenly froze, and then shattered like a dream bubble. Red Devil is dead. As soon as the red demon died, those puppet centurions all showed ecstasy and knelt down on the ground at the same time, thanking Duan Lingtian repeatedly. Thank you, Lord Duan Lingtian, for giving me a new life. Thank you, Lord Duan Lingtian. Once the red devil died, the restraints on them puppets also disappeared. Soon, more and more golems came out from all over the Red Demon Ridge, knelt down on the ground, and thanked Duan Lingtian. Many people were so excited that they burst into tears. However, Duan Lingtian has no time to go to them. Just a moment after he killed the red demon, he suddenly noticed a slight movement in the sky. And then, the sky, which was originally clear and cloudless, suddenly became groggy. Countless dark clouds gathered, and purple thunder like electric snakes shuttled through it, as if a heavy rain was about to come. And in an instant, it seemed that an invisible big hand stretched out, pushing the clouds to see the sun. The long-lost text of the Tao of Heaven reappears. Chapter 45-67. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. At the same time as the words of the Tao of Heaven appeared, the dark clouds that had been fiddled with on both sides turned into a cloud of blood in an instant, and at the same time a rain of blood began to rain. At this moment, in the vast sky, except for the surrounding positions where the words of the Tao of Heaven are located, the rest of the eye-catching places are constantly pouring blood rain. And this is exactly the vision of heaven and earth that appeared after the death of the most powerful red demon. The most powerful fell, thousands of miles of blood cloud, blood rain pouring down. Not only Scarlet Demon Ridge, even a large area around Red Demon Ridge was covered by blood rain at this time. This is, the strongest has fallen? The most powerful people in the surrounding area are only the Red Devil of Red Devil Ridge. He is dead? That's the heavenly Tao text? At first, a group of people were shocked by the vision of heaven and earth that appeared when the most powerful person fell, but soon their attention was attracted by the heavenly words that appeared after turning the clouds to see the future. The words of the Tao of Heaven are as golden as before, extremely dazzling, suspended in the sky, giving people a sense of oppression invisibly, which is awe-inspiring. From today, Tongtian Tower no longer has only one entrance, 35 new entrances to Tongtian Tower, 8 more places outside the boundary, 3 for each of the upper 3 realms, and 1 for each of the middle 18 realms. After breaking through the level, after leaving the Tongtian Tower, you will be teleported to a certain realm of 10,000 realms without distinction. This is the heavenly word that is now displayed in places outside the world, and even in front of everyone in the world. Inside the Red Demon Ridge, seeing the words of the Tao of Heaven, Duan Lingtian's originally calm face darkened in an instant. Although he had vaguely expected that the heavenly Tao would move in the future, and it was impossible for his master to block the way for those world venerables and saints to obtain the Tian Tao talisman. But I didn't expect it to come so fast. Heaven. With a flash of coldness in his eyes, Duan Lingtian disappeared in place out of thin air, looking for his master Feng Qingyang. All this happened too suddenly. Need to discuss with master how to deal with it. Should I just watch those people pass through the Tongtian Tower and get the amulet of Heaven's Tao, or do something to suppress them, so that as few people as possible can get the talisman of Heaven's Tao? The sudden words of the Tao of Heaven have nothing to do with most people in the outer worlds and 10,000 realms. After all, the Tongtian Pagoda is a trial place for the Tao of Heaven to be open to saints and world venerables. However, for Jiezun and Saint, this is undoubtedly great news. Jiezun from all walks of life in the upper 3 realms gathered together in the first place. In the bright light world, the burly Jesuan powerhouse, Lei Hong, swept away the haze on his face, and his face was full of red light. Everyone. What we need to do now is to find out where the 3 entrances of the Tongtian Tower are located in our Mingguang realm. Whoever finds it first, pass it on to others. We must enter the Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. It's too late to change. Who knows, will Feng Qingyang, after seeing the words of the heavenly Tao this time, hate the heavenly Tao, become angry from embarrassment, and go directly to the Mingguang realm to attack us. Hearing Lei Hong's words, the rest of the world masters in the Mingguang realm also showed serious expressions, thinking that Lei Hong's words made sense. In the Mingguang realm, there must be an existence that surpasses the world venerable, otherwise, wouldn't we have to rely on others all the time? Everyone, looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower is urgent. I will go first. When a group of Jesuin from the Mingguang realm began to search for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower in various places in the Mingguang realm, Jesuin from the other two realms of the upper three realms were also in action. They all want to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. In addition, they were all worried that Feng Qingyang would run over and attack them. Even if they didn't plan to enter Tongtian Tower for the time being, they didn't stay in their old lair. They planned to hide after helping others find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. Wait until there is an existence beyond the realm of respect in the realm where you are, and then come out. Those who can live up to now and have the strength of a world venerable are all human spirits, who have a thorough understanding of human nature, leaving themselves a way out. In the past, Feng Qingyang didn't attack them, maybe because he was worried that when he left Tongtian Tower and attacked some Jesuin and saints, other Jesuin and saints would take the opportunity to enter Tongtian Tower. Now, Tiandao opened the entrance of Tongtian Tower again, and there were more than 30 of them. So Feng Qingyang's plan to guard Tongtian Tower and prevent Jesuin and saints from entering failed. They put themselves in the situation. If they were Feng Qingyang, there is a high probability that they would become angry and want to destroy all the saints and world venerables in the land outside the world, and even in the 10,000 worlds, preventing them from having the opportunity to step into this supreme world through the heavenly amulet rewarded in the Tongtian Tower. Strong Seventh Order. Although there are not as many world lords in the middle 18 realms as there are in the upper 3 realms, most realms have more or less 1 or 2 world lords. Like the Nishan realm, those who clearly knew that the former Jesuin had fallen, but still played tricks, were still a minority. Certainly, even if the news of the demise of the former world venerable is exposed in the current Nishan realm, no one dares to underestimate it, because although it has lost 1 world venerable, it has 2 existences that surpass the world exalted. Those are the 2 strongest people in the world outside the world, and even in the world. Send everyone out, and be sure to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. The world lords of the 18 realms in China gave orders one after another. At the same time, they didn't dare to stay in their lair any longer, and didn't even join the ranks of searching for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower in their own realm for the time being. Instead, they walked out of their respective realms and got in touch with the other familiar Jesuin of the 18 realms. Wang Xiu, whoever finds the entrance of the Tongtian Tower first on your side, how about notifying each other as soon as possible? Haha, just what I want. Waiting for your good news. Maybe you will find it first. One by one, the Jesuin of the 18 realms reached an agreement with the familiar Jesuin and cooperated with each other to see who could find the entrance to the Tongtian Tower in their respective realms first. Most of them want to enter Tongtian Tower in the first place. The Jesuin of the middle 18 realms is different from the Jesuin of the upper 3 realms. There are strong and weak Jesuin in the upper 3 realms, and the weaker newly promoted Jesuin feel that there is a stronger one to support them, so they can relax a little bit, don't have to fight so hard, and don't need to fight to the death. However, the Jesuin of the 18 realms in China are the pillars of their respective realms, and they all want to take another step forward and achieve supreme prestige. At that time, even if it is the upper 3 realms, they will not be afraid. For the existence of the 2 Transcendence Venerables from the Nishan realm, one of the 18 realms in China, they are envious from the bottom of their hearts. Now that they have a chance, why not give it a try? Moreover, after breaking through the numerous checkpoints in the Tongtian Tower and getting the Talisman of Heaven, it is not necessary to face the taboo realm of catastrophe. When to attract the taboo realm of catastrophe depends entirely on one's own arrangement. Heaven's Tao Talisman can block the 3 taboos of heavenly calamity. I don't know if the talisman of the heavenly Tao can be given to each other. If one person holds 6 talismans of the Tao of the heavenly Tao, wouldn't it be able to block the catastrophe of the 6 realms of taboo? Chapter 4568. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. It's not just the powerful world venerables from myriad realms who are acting. Even saints from all over the world are taking action. One by one, they ordered the semi-sages of their respective forces, as well as a group of powerful people, to go out to find a new entrance to the Tongtian Tower, and at the same time they left their lair. I'm afraid of being killed by Feng Qingyang. Within the area of Qingyun's sacred sect, the 2 saints of Qingyun's sacred sect, Zhaoani and Guolin, also saw the heavenly Tao riding. At this time, Zhaoani had already arrived at the half-holy faction under the Qingyun sacred sect, the Han family. The half-sage of the Han family, Han Jiang, is one of the 2 half-sages that Duan Lingtian asked him to find today. At this time, after Han Jiang came out, recognized him, and saluted him respectfully before he could make a move, he was attracted by the words of heavenly Tao. Han Jiang is an old man, dressed in brocade clothes, with a resolute face, fierce eyebrows, majestic and extraordinary, and a white beard on his face is even more fierce. However, after he saw the words of heavenly Tao, he immediately saluted Zhaoani, who was standing not far in front of him. Senior Zhao, congratulations. You will be able to enter the Tongtian Tower and get the heavenly Tao talisman immediately. At that time, Qingyun Holy Sect will definitely give birth to an existence that surpasses the saint. After finishing speaking, before Zhaoani could speak, Han Jiang continued, Senior Zhao, our Han family is willing to search for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower for you. However, after hearing Han Jiang's flattering words, Zhaoani, who came back to his senses, suppressed the surprise on his face and looked at Han Jiang indifferently. This glance only made Han Jiang's heart tremble, and his heart was about to burst. What's the situation? This person, who is famous in the Qingyun sect, came to their Han's house in person today, which made him think that his ancestral grave was full of smoke, and he could let the other party come in person. But now, seeing the other party's hostility, he couldn't help being upset. Han Jiang, do you know why I came here? Zhaoani stared at Han Jiang and asked indifferently. Although, he now has no choice but to turn around and look for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower immediately, enter the Tongtian Tower, obtain the talisman of the heavenly Tao, and prepare for surviving the taboo realm in the future. However, thinking of Duan Lingtian, he quickly dismissed the idea. He must first do what that person told him to do. Otherwise, 3 months later, when the other party came to Qingyun's sacred sect and saw no one, what would he do if he attacked Qingyun's sacred sect in a fit of rage? Could it be that he could make a further breakthrough at that time and step into the 7th level of Xian? It's impossible to think about it. Even if you enter the Tongtian Tower, you are not guaranteed to be able to get the talisman of the heavenly Tao. At the beginning, the text of the Tao of the heavenly Tao clearly stated that Jiezun and a saint entered the Tongtian Tower, but they were only expected to get the talisman of the Tao of heaven. You don't have to get the heavenly Tao talisman. Han Jiang doesn't know. Please ask Senior Zhao to clarify. Han Jiang took a deep breath and spoke nervously. Because the Han family was far away from the Fu family, even though there was a lot of movement on the Fu family's side, and 2 half-saints died in a row, the news hadn't reached his ears yet. Of course, this is also because Zhaoani came to the Han family immediately after returning to the Qingyun sacred sect after the Fu family's affairs were settled. Han Jiang didn't have time to get the news from there. You, the 2 half-sages of the Fu family, and what Tuobo Lianqing did, don't you know? Zhaoani sneered, and without waiting for Han Jiang's response, he waved his hand, and a powerful force swept out, imprisoning the semi-holy Han Jiang in a blink of an eye. Then, she took Han Jiang with her and left the Han family. Whoosh! At an extremely fast speed, rush back to Qingyun sacred sect. After taking Han Jiang back, he will order people to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower, and then he must go out himself to try to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as quickly as possible. Senior Zhao, why did you imprison me? Han Jiang, who was imprisoned by Zhaoani, completely sank in his heart. This feeling of uncontrollable life and death made him feel a little desperate. He already saw that the other party was not kind, but he still wanted to know, why did the other party treat him like this? Snort. Zhaoani snorted coldly while walking. Didn't you hear clearly what I just said? At this time, Han Jiang had time to appreciate Zhao Inya's words just now. Just now, as soon as Zhao Inya's words fell, before he had time to react, he was taken away from Han Jiang by Zhaoani, so that he had no time to appreciate those words carefully. Now, recalling that sentence again, the first thing he thought of was that many years ago, he and Tuobo Lianqing were called away by the Mingyao semi-sage of the Fu family, Fu Liangming, to the semi-sacred Duan Yue from the Duan family of Bibo Tianfu. Shoot and kill Duan Yue. Is it possible? This senior Zhao, is he old with that Duan Yue? Apart from this incident, he couldn't think of anything else he did with the half-sage of the Fu family and Tuobo Lianqing. That time was also the first time he saw Tuobo Lianqing. Although he had heard of the other party's name a long time ago, he didn't know him. The last time he met the other party was through the introduction of Fu Liangming, the semi-sage of the Fu family. Senior Zhao, are you going to stand up for that? Yue half-sage? After Han Jiang figured this out, his face turned pale immediately, but he quickly started to save himself. Senior Mingjian, that incident was entirely caused by Fu Liangming. I owe him a favor. That time he came to me and asked me to pay him back. Let me join forces with him to deal with Yue Bansheng. However, Yue Bansheng died in his hands in the end. Senior, please enlighten me. Hearing Han Jiang's words, Zhaoani was taken aback for a moment, then frowned and asked, Half-Saint Yue? Is there such a demi-saint within Qingyun's sacred sect? Senior, isn't that what you asked? Seeing that Zhaoani didn't seem to know Yue Bansheng, Han Jiang couldn't help being taken aback. Yue Bansheng is the half-saint of the Duan family of the half-holy force under Bibo Tianfu, named Duan Yue. Duan Yue. Hearing Han Jiang's words, Zhaoani suddenly realized. Last name Duan. And that one is also surnamed Duan. I see. Han Jiang, do you know that before I went to find you, the two half-sages of the Fu family were already dead? Zhaoani said calmly. What? Han Jiang's face changed drastically, and his eyes showed horror. Who is it? Who killed them? Hearing this, he faintly realized that Zhaoani personally came to arrest him and mentioned the things he, Fu Liangming, and Tuobo Lianqing did together. Most likely it was because of the death of the former Yue Bansheng. And the Fu family, like their Han family, is a semi-holy force under the Qingyun sacred sect. Zhaoani, as one of the two great saints of the Qingyun sacred sect, and the most powerful one, not only did he not stand up for the Fu family, but also came to the Han family to arrest him? Could it be that Duan Yue is old with other saints? Thinking of this, Han Jiang felt desperate. Chapter 45-69. Also, I guess he is not an ordinary saint. Thinking of this, Han Jiang became even more desperate. And the reason why he thinks this way is because Zhao Inya's status in Qingyun sacred sect is too high. He is the number one person in Qingyun sacred sect. If he can personally go out to capture him, how can the people behind him be ordinary saints? After 3 months, you will naturally see that person. Zhaoani spoke calmly, not bothering to explain to Han Jiang. From the ending of the half-sage of the Fu family, it is not difficult to see that it is absolutely impossible for Mr. Duan Lingtian to spare Han Jiang's life. Senior Zhao. Han Jiang was frightened to the extreme, trembling in his heart, and begged. Can you see me, and even the Han family, have been working hard for Qingyun Shangzong, and give me a way out? If Senior is willing to give me a way out, Han Jiang will spare no effort to work for Senior in the future. He is not stupid either. The two half-sages of the Fu family are dead. If he is brought back by Zhaoani, he will definitely have no way out, and I am afraid he can only live for 3 months at most. That was not what he wanted. Now, he only hoped that the person in front of him would spare him. In his opinion, even if the other party is a powerful saint, as long as Zhaoani is willing to protect him, he can still be protected. After all, Zhaoani is also a veteran saint, and saints whose strength can be seen outside the world are all top-ranked existences. Unfortunately, he never dreamed of. The person who forced Zhaoani to arrest him would be an existence above the saint. If he knew, he would never have promised Fu Liangming of the Fu family to snipe and kill Duan Yue, the half-sage of Yue. Zhaoani, who ignored Hanjiang and even felt that Hanjiang was annoying, even sealed Hanjiang's mouth and consciousness, and he couldn't even transmit the sound, but at the same time he also received a summons. It was his nephew Guolin who sent the message, "Uncle, Tuobalianqing is not in his training ground," and at the same time I saw the text of heaven. I got some clues about the whereabouts of Tuobalianqing. Next, I should go to find the entrance of the Tongtian Tower first, or go to the Tuobalianqing? Guolin asked. The words of Heaven's Tao are related to the new entrance of Tongtian Tower, which is very important to his uncle Zhao Anlin. On the contrary, he, even a saint, is not very sure that he can pass the test of the Tongtian Tower and get the Heavenly Tao amulet. Moreover, even if he got the Heavenly Tao talisman, he could not step into the Forbidden Realm for the time being. Although his fire law has comprehended the state of Dzogchen, the Tao of the Sword has just stepped into the 6th level when he broke through to become a saint last time, and there is still a long way to go from the 7th level. If you want to step into the Taboo Realm, you must have a law of great perfection, a 7th level of the 4 ways of heaven and earth. This is the most basic threshold. However, although he was not in a hurry, he had to think about his uncle. You go to Tuobalianqing. On Zhao Enya's side, he quickly responded to Guolin. I will arrange for people to search for the entrance of Tongtian Tower. I will take Hanjiang back to the sect now. After I go back and make arrangements, I will also go out to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower myself. Within 3 months, you must bring Tuobalianqing back to the sect. Zhao Enya's tone was extraordinarily dignified in the last sentence of the interrogation. Although I can attract the taboo realm's catastrophe at any time, if I'm not prepared, even if I have 3 heavenly talismans, I'm not very sure. Also, for the time being, I don't know how difficult it is to get the Heavenly Tao Talisman in Tongtian Tower, and I don't necessarily have to get the Heavenly Tao Talisman. We can't afford to offend Duan Lingtian. Hearing this, Guolin quickly responded that he would definitely bring Tuobalianqing back to Qingyun's sacred sect within 3 months. After Zhaoani brought Hanjiang back to Qingyun's sacred sect, he immediately imprisoned him by means, and at the same time sent a semi-sacred guard who was not weaker than him. You must keep an eye on him. If he escapes, the sect may be in danger. Zhaoani said to the half-sage he had arranged, that this half-sage is his disciple and he can be completely trusted, but he still gave a serious order. Master, don't worry, unless I die, he can't leave the sect. The half-saint respectfully responded, if he wants to escape, you can kill him, but the body must be well preserved. At least 3 months later, people can see his appearance clearly and see that he was a semi-holy before he died. Zhao Ani added a sentence, and these words fell into Han Jiang's ears, and Han Jiang's complexion became paler with fright. He knew in his heart that whether he would survive in the future would depend entirely on the mood of the saint, who came to the door 3 months later. However, he is already mentally prepared, and when the time comes, he will put all the responsibility on Fu Liangming of the Fu family. He is just paying Fu Liangming a favor, and if the other party can spare his life, he is willing to be a slave for the maid. In this way, the other party may not necessarily kill him. After arranging Hanjiang, Zhaoani began to give orders to let most of the semi-sages in the sect go out to inquire about the news of the new Tongtian Tower entrance. At the same time, he also planned to leave. However, what he didn't expect was that, before he left Qingyun's sacred sect's region, there would be a strong man from outside the domain who came across the domain and directly sent a message to greet him and communicate with him. The person who came was the sage from Bibo Tianfu who never saw his end, and was also his old friend. Many people thought that this old guy was dead, but they didn't expect that he was still alive. This old guy is older than him, and the last 10,000-year catastrophe almost killed him. Xiao Zhao, have you seen the text of Heaven's Tao? If you have any news about the entrance of the new Tongtian Tower, please let me know immediately. After that, everyone should remove the sound barrier. The old voice transmission reached Zhao Enya's ears. As for Zhaoani, after hearing what the old man said, he smiled wryly. He had so many things to arrange, but he completely forgot about it. Old Ming, thanks to your reminder, otherwise I would have forgotten about the sound transmission barrier. In the land outside the boundary, there are not only formations to isolate the sound transmission, so that the sound transmission from the outer domain is not allowed to enter the edge of the area ruled by the major saint forces. The sound transmission on my side can't get out either. Now, the strong man in Bibo Tianfu has just crossed the region, so that he can be contacted by sound transmission. Well, if there is any news from my side, I will contact you as soon as possible, Old Ming said. Next, I will go out and look around in person to see if I can find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. There was a bit of urgency in the tone. As for the other party's urgency for the entrance to Tongtian Tower, Zhaoani can understand. After all, if you can't go further and step into the 7th level of Xion, the next 10,000 years of catastrophe will be the death of the other party. I remember. This one in Bibo Tianfu, the last 10,000 years tribulation was ushered in 9,000 years ago, right? No wonder you're so impatient. If there is no way to go further, he will not have 1,000 years to live. Chapter 4570. Time is ruthless. Before the Tongtian Tower appeared, even if they were as strong as saints in Jesuan, they were helpless in the face of the 10,000 years of catastrophe against the strongest who were getting stronger every time. They could only wait for death, because they couldn't take the next step. The next step is no different from being broken. For example, Meng Lao of Bibo Tianfu, who was seriously injured in the 10,000 years of heavenly tribulation 9,000 years ago, survived by luck and saved his life. It took thousands of years to recover. Over the years, after recovering from his injuries, he never appeared in front of people again. Many people outside thought that he had died of serious injuries. However, none of them knew that he was making his last effort. He has a crazy plan. Although this plan can be carried out even by saints and world venerables like him, few people have the courage to carry it out. That is, before the next mortal catastrophe of 10,000 years comes, step into the forbidden realm, face the taboo realm of catastrophe, and see if there is a chance to live to death. The catastrophe of the taboo realm has changed people's faces. In the history of the outer worlds and 10,000 realms, there are many powerful people who have faced the catastrophe of the taboo realm, but they all died miserably. No one survived the taboo realm catastrophe. Occasionally, some invincible high-ranking gods also took that crucial step, leading to taboos and catastrophes, and finally ended in death. Some people deliberately stay in the realm of high-ranking gods and want to face the weaker taboo realm of heavenly calamity, so as not to be almost dead after becoming the strongest. However, it still failed and had no way out. The Meng Lao of Bibo Tianfu is actually not sure. He just wants to fight, make the last effort, and want to bloom the afterglow. If you don't fight, you are waiting to die. If you fight hard, you may die. But if you can live to death, you will be reborn from nirvana, just like living another life. Can live, who wants to die? I don't have the courage of Meng Lao for the time being. After returning to Qingyun's sacred sect and ordering the people below to put away the 4-way sound transmission barrier, Zhaoani went on the road again, looking for other entrances to Tongtian Tower. In the previous 10,000 years tribulation, he was only slightly injured. In the next 10,000 years of catastrophe, he is sure to survive. In the next 10,000 years of catastrophe, he may be powerless. So, he still has time. There is no urgency to step into the taboo realm, and more plans to wait and see for a while, to see if there will be a few more extreme 7th level in the land outside the world and the world. Now, there are many people who think like Zhaoani. The most anxious person is still like the old Ming of Bibo Tianfu, who is not sure how to deal with the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. After setting off on the road, Zhaoani received many messages from old friends, one after another, and they were all communicating with him, asking him to tell them if he found the entrance to Tongtian Tower. If they find it first, they will share it too. Zhaoani readily agreed. To Zhao Enya's surprise, there was another summons, which was also sent to him by a saint who was older than him. Xiao Zhao, if you find the entrance of Tongtian Tower, please say hello to me. The person who sent this message stepped into the Supreme Being, not much later than Meng Lao from Bibo Tianfu. The most important is, 2,000 years ago, the other party almost died under the 10,000 years calamity. Now, it is estimated that they have not recovered yet. Old Wang, your injury has healed? Zhaoani was shocked. He never expected that this person would also come out to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. He recovered from his injuries and was going to enter Tongtian Tower to get the amulet of the Tao of Heaven, and then hit the heavenly tribulation of the promotion realm? My injury is still not healed. The other party sent a message again, with a somewhat helpless tone. However, another old friend of mine sent a message to ask me to pay attention to the entrance of Tongtian Tower. I am asking for directions for him. Xiao Zhao, don't worry, even if I don't need the location of the entrance of Tongtian Tower in a hurry, I have already agreed with him. If he finds it, he should tell me and I will let you know. He had to be helpless. The 10,000 years tribulation 2,000 years ago almost killed him. Until now, the injury has only recovered a little bit. From now on, without thousands of years, it is almost impossible to recover. Even if he now knows where the entrance of the Tongtian Tower is, he will not dare to enter the Tongtian Tower until he recovers from his injuries. He doesn't want to fall into it without getting the heavenly Tao talisman. Even if there is no fear of his life, it would be a waste of time to get the amulet of heaven, and it might aggravate his injuries. He can't take the risk. Okay, Mr. Wang. Zhao Ani suddenly realized that he thought that the other party had some kind of great opportunity to heal the severe injuries suffered in that catastrophe in such a short period of time. It turned out that it was just asking for directions for others. When Zhao Ani started to move, in the land outside the realm, almost all the saint forces have also moved. Even those saints who practiced casually also took action. Some people want to enter Tongtian Tower by themselves. Some people, it is to help others find a new entrance to Tongtian Tower. The Tongtian Tower, as before, stood above the central sea area of the outer boundary and did not leave. Here, you can still enter the Tongtian Tower. What the Tao of Heaven opens is nothing but other entrances directly leading to the interior of Tongtian Tower. Shout Eon. Tiandao did a really good job this time. Not only opened more than 30 entrances, but even explained that after they leave Tongtian Tower, they will be indiscriminately teleported to a certain realm of 10,000 realms. A cold light flashed in Feng Qingyang's eyes, and his tone was quite unfriendly. This is for them to relieve their worries. I'm afraid that if they come out from here, I will kill them. Not just Breezy. Even Duan Lingtian didn't look too good-looking. He also just came back from Chimo Ridge. Before the appearance of the heavenly Tao characters, he never thought that he would come to his master again so soon. However, soon Duan Lingtian seemed to have thought of something. His face calmed down, and he smiled calmly. Master, even if the way of heaven is like this, if you think about it, you will definitely not exterminate those saints and world venerables without a reason. So, you don't need to be angry. Just let them into their babble. He knew that his master was not someone who killed indiscriminately for no reason. Now that he was angry, he felt that the way of heaven was unfair, and he didn't spill his grievances on those saints and Jesuin. After all, those people are just pawns in the eyes of Tiandao. You and I, master and apprentice, have traveled all the way, faced up to the strong, and have achieved today's achievements. In this world, there are more existences that surpass saints and world venerables. For us, isn't it a spur? After Duan Lingtian finished speaking, before Feng Qingyang could speak, he received an unexpected message. The message was sent by Xiao Tianzi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu. Master Duan Lingtian, Mr. Ming of our Bibo Tianfu, is eager to enter the Tongtian Tower. Now that the Heavenly Tao has added a new entrance to the Tongtian Tower, I don't know if we can let him go to the main entrance of the Central Sea area. This is the first time Xiao Tianzi has contacted Duan Lingtian, who has stepped into the Xian realm, and the title has completely changed, and Duan Lingtian is respected as my lord. He is relatively familiar with Duan Lingtian, and he has also been to Nishan realm later, so he naturally knows that the strong man guarding the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda, Feng Qingyang, is Duan Lingshan's master. Now, the entrances of the Tongtian Tower are blooming everywhere, and there is no news about other entrances for the time being. He wants to ask the way for their Bibo Tianfis Ming Lao, whether he can use the main entrance of the Tongtian Tower and enter the Tongtian Tower first. Chapter 4571. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. In the sound transmission, Xiao Tianzi expressed very clearly that Bibo Tianfu, the most powerful man Ming Lao, who many people don't know exists, is eager to enter the Tongtian Tower to obtain the heavenly Dao talisman, and he wants to fight for the second life. Regarding this old Ming, when Duan Lingtian was in Bibo Tianfu in the past, he heard people mention it. Many people thought he was dead, and some people thought he was still alive, hiding in the dark and guarding Bibo Tianfu. Now it seems that he is still alive. However, it has come to the end. At least, if the Tongtian Tower does not appear, he will not have many years to live, and he will surely die if the strongest catastrophe comes within 1,000 years. Some time ago, the Tongtian Tower appeared, and Feng Qingyang blocked the way. Although this old Ming wanted to enter the Tongtian Tower, he had no choice but to return because he was afraid of Feng Qingyang's strength. Later, when he learned that Feng Qingyang's disciple was the first Duan Lingtian who survived the taboo realm of heavenly calamity after the historical segregation, and that Duan Lingtian had a relationship with Bibo Tianfu, he asked Xiao Tianxi to find Duan Lingtian, hoping that he could enter Tongtian Tower of Opportunity. Xiao Tianxi had contacted Duan Lingtian at the time, but because Duan Lingtian was not in the outer realm and the Nishan realm, he had no way to send a message to contact Duan Lingtian. Instead, he found Feng Qingyang, but Feng Qingyang didn't buy it, because he wasn't sure if the other party really had a relationship with his disciple Duan Lingtian. Let's talk about it after you contact Xiao Tian. This was Feng Qingyang's response to Xiao Tianxi at that time. Therefore, now that Duan Lingtian passed on Xiao Tianxi's message, Feng Qingyang also shook his head and smiled. The person you mentioned once came to me in the past, saying that he had an old relationship with you. Let me take it for your sake, and give him that an opportunity for an elder to enter Tongtian Tower. I was worried that he was a liar, so I ignored him and asked him to contact you. Hearing Master's words, Duan Lingtian smiled. He did not expect Xiao Tianxi, the majestic master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu, to be regarded as a liar by his master. Immediately afterwards, Feng Qingyang said again, "Since it is indeed someone you know, you just ask him to call his elders over. Now that there are so many new entrances to the Tongtian Tower, it is impossible for us to restrict them from entering the Tongtian Tower. I didn't think about killing people, just like you said, as a person. I can't do that kind of thing. Besides, I guard the Tongtian Tower, and I don't have any opinions on them, let alone fear that they will go further and have strength comparable to mine. In my whole life, the thing I'm most afraid of is competition. I guard the Tongtian Tower, but I am venting my dissatisfaction with the way of heaven. Why do I have to rely on myself to break through the forbidden realm and the catastrophe to achieve what I am today? But they can take shortcuts." Hearing this, Duan Lingtian knew that after so many years, the master is still the same master, has not changed, and is not afraid of competition, but the backbone is also tough. "I'll tell him." Duan Lingtian nodded and sent a message to Xiao Tianxi. "Master, there is no need to be so polite between you and me, right? Isn't it a bit distant when you call adult? Just let that person come over directly. In addition, you should contact the two saints of Qingyun sect. Tell them that if they finish what I told them, they can also walk through the main entrance of Tongtian Tower." Duan Lingtian thought of the two saints of the Qingyun sacred sect and wanted to stimulate them, make them work harder and work for themselves without any slack. "Haha, that's not being polite." Xiao Tianxi quickly responded, "My lord." I yelled out willingly, "When I can catch up with you, I will change my address." "Thanks." After Xiao Tianxi received Duan Lingtian's response, he immediately contacted the old Ming from Bibo Tianfu and told him that he could go directly to the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda, and he had already said hello there. "That's how you say hello?" Ming Lao was a little surprised, but at the same time he was a little more cautious. "Godsend boy, is this reliable?" Duan Lingtian, isn't he fishing with his master? Xiao Tianxi smiled wryly. "Old Ming, even if they want to fish, they don't need to use you as a knife. You know, that Lord Duan Lingtian still has the status of our Golden Dragon Hall disciple. You don't have to worry about it." For Duan Lingtian, he is still very relieved, and it is absolutely impossible to fool him on this matter. "Okay, we'll go there." In fact, Mr. Ming also felt that the other party didn't need to catch him like this, but just wanted to seek peace of mind. So he asked a little more, and he immediately turned, heading towards the direction of Tongtian Tower in the Central Sea area. He is no stranger there. After Tongtian Pagoda appeared last time, he passed by immediately, but seeing that the Jesuin of the upper three realms didn't get any benefits, he could only sigh helplessly and go back. The wind is light, too strong. Can't afford it. After greeting Mr. Ming, Xiao Tianxi thought for a while and muttered to himself, now, should the Qingyun sect also close the sound transmission barrier? As soon as he thought about it, he sent a sound transmission to an old friend of the Qingyun sacred sect, an existence of the strongest fourth rank, whose strength was close to that of a semi-sage, and his status in the Qingyun sacred sect was quite high. He greeted the other party and relayed Duan Lingshan's words. Duan Lingtian? Hearing Xiao Tianxi's message, the other party gasped. He also knew about the fact that Duan Lingtian had killed 2 half-sages of the Fu family and 1 half-sage of Qingyun sect today. At the same time, he also knew that the other party made a move to overwhelm the 2 great saints of Qingyun sect. If the other party is willing, they can use their own strength to destroy Qingyun sacred sect. Old Xiao, are you very familiar with Duan Lingtian? The other party summoned and asked. He had not contacted this old friend for many years, and he couldn't help but be surprised when he received the other party's summons many years later. Okay, Xiao Tianxi responded, and then focused on the relationship between Duan Lingtian and Bibo Tianfu before he passed through the forbidden realm of heavenly calamity. Old Xiao, your luck is invincible, to be able to have a relationship with such an existence in advance. The Qingyun sacred sect's tone was full of envy, and at the same time, thinking of something that his uncle told him today, he couldn't help asking, Old Xiao, this Lingtian is not related to the semi-sacred forces under your Qingyun sacred sect? What's the relationship with Duan Yuwei, Yuye's half-sage? The saint of Qingyun sect didn't know about Duan Yuwei's existence, but he did. Knowing that the semi-sage Han Jiang was captured and suppressed by the sect, and waiting for Duan Lingtian to come over, he knew the ins and outs of the matter. So it was not difficult for him to guess that Duan Lingtian and Duan Yue had a close relationship. Duan Lingtian once entered the Duan family and was recognized as a younger brother by that half-sage Yu Yi. Xiao Tianxi replied. In the past, Duan Lingtian had specifically approached him and asked him to help take care of the Duan family, so he later learned about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and the Duan family. Why are you asking this all of a sudden? Xiao Tianxi asked curiously. I see. The people on the Qingyun sacred sect side gasped, and then told Xiao Tianxi what Duan Lingtian had done in the Qingyun sacred sect area today, because the news hadn't spread, and Xiao Tianxi hadn't had time to know. Xiao Tianxi couldn't help sighing when he heard the words. It seems that he really regards Duan Yue as his god-sister. He decided to treat the Duan family more kindly in the future. Chapter 4572. Xiao Tianxi's old friend in Qingyun sect, while chatting with Xiao Tianxi, also sent a message to his uncle. His uncle was exactly the disciple of Zhao Ani, the #1 sage of the Qingyun sect. He contacted his master as soon as he got the content of Xiao Tianxi's message from his nephew. Xiao Tianxi from Bibo Tianfu? Zhao Ani was looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Pagoda outside, and he couldn't help being a little surprised when he suddenly received a message from his disciples. Bibo Tianfu, do you still have such a connection with Master Duan Lingtian? Bibo Tianfu, how could there be such luck? Zhao Ani was so jealous that he went crazy. However, that Lord Duan Lingtian didn't forget me and Gualin after all, and was willing to open the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda for me and Gualin. And that Lord Feng Qingyang is actually his master? The 2 7th-level Zeons that appeared after the historical break came from one of the realms of the 10,000 realms, which is already shocking enough. What made him even more unexpected was that Feng Qingyang was actually Duan Lingshan's master. This news took him by surprise. At the same time, he also learned about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and the Yui half-saint Duan Yue, as well as Duan Yui's origin from the message sent by his disciples. He felt more and more that the members of the Fu family, as well as Han Jiang and Tuobo Lianqing, had no eyesight, and even dared to kill such a terrifying god-sister. Gualin. Soon, Zhao Ani sent a message to Gualin, who was looking for Tuobo Lianqing, and at the same time solemnly reminded, you don't have to worry about the Tongtian Tower. What you have to do now is to find Tuobo Lianqing as soon as possible. Are there any other clues about Tuobali inching? If I need to go there, I can go there at any time. After greeting Guilin, Zhaoani didn't intend to continue looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower, but he didn't go back to the Qingyun sacred sect, but walked towards the Tongtian Tower in the Central Sea area. When he arrived near Tongtian Pagoda, he happened to meet Ming Lao, the sage of Bibo Tianfu. Old Ming. After so many years, seeing this old man again, Zhaoani couldn't help but sigh. Back then, when he was still young, this one was a big shot in Bibo Tianfu, and he had stepped into the realm of the strongest. This is a living fossil. Xiao Zhao. Old Ming, an old man in a Taoist robe, with a fairy-like appearance and a childlike face, was also surprised when he saw Zhaoani. Are you also going to the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda?
Yes.
Zhaoani nodded. I heard from my disciples that Lord Duan Tian authorized me and Guilin to enter the Tongtian Tower through the main entrance of the Tongtian Tower. However, I don't plan to go in for the time being. I'm planning to come over to thank Lord Duan Tian and pay a visit to Lord Feng Qingyang by the way. He already knew Duan Tian, but Feng Qingyang didn't know him yet. Although he had seen Feng Qingyang last time, he only dared to wait and see from a distance. Seeing that Jie Zun from the upper three realms was frightened back, he also retreated. Feng Qingyang, but like Duan Tian, who is above the saints in Jesuan, if he has the opportunity to get acquainted, he naturally doesn't want to miss the opportunity. In a short period of time, he has not planned to enter the Tongtian Tower, and plans to wait and see for a while. You must not be in a hurry. Last time, I heard that you still have the strength to spare. Elder Ming sighed with emotion, and then smiled wryly, but, I'm different from you, I don't have much time. I just want to enter Tongtian Tower as soon as possible and get those 3 heavenly Dao talismans. I don't know how difficult the level in the Tongtian Tower is, but I think it's definitely not too easy. To get something, I'm afraid you have to pay some price, and you may even be injured. I want to get the heavenly Dao talisman as soon as possible, then come out to recuperate, and then step into the forbidden realm before the next 10,000 years of catastrophe comes. The realm of taboo is the 7th level of Xian. As long as he steps in smoothly, his strength will be greatly improved, and it will be easy to face the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. In the future, I can live for a long time. On the side of Tongtian Tower, Duan Tian and Feng Qingyang are still there. Soon, Zhaoani and the two came hand in hand. You came so soon? Did someone catch you? Seeing Zhaoani, Duan Tian was a little surprised. He didn't expect this guy to come over so quickly. Did he already capture those 2 half-sages? Master Duan Tian. Zhaoani greeted him respectfully and then said bluntly, I have already captured Han Jiang. Guilin has gone to find Tuobali inching, and it won't take long to catch him. I'm not here to enter the Tongtian Tower, but mainly to thank you for giving me the opportunity to enter the Tongtian Tower from here. Zhaoani said, It's okay. My master doesn't plan to stay here for a long time. At most 10 days and a half months, he will leave here. Duan Tian said that after 10 days and a half a month, more than half of the other 35 entrances of Tongtian Tower will definitely be found, and it will be meaningless to guard here again. Qingyun Sacred Sect Zhaoani. I have met Master Feng Qingyang. Although he knew that both Duan Tian and Feng Qingyang were younger than him, Zhaoani still didn't dare to neglect him, and kept saying hello respectfully. Next, although he also has the opportunity to step into the 7th level of the strongest and stand shoulder to shoulder with the 2 people in front of him, he knows in his heart that with the terrifying talents of the 2 opponents, it is impossible for his future achievements to stop at the 7th level of the strongest. After all, these are the 2 beings who can survive the taboo realm without the talisman of heaven. Feng Qingyang survived the taboo realm of catastrophe with the cultivation base of a middle-level god. Although there is an element of trickery, but which middle level can successfully pass the law without fear of 1,000 years of catastrophe before becoming a high-level god. To comprehend the Dzogchen and comprehend the 4 ways of heaven and earth to the 7th level, Feng Qingyang's achievement, I am afraid that no one can repeat it, and there will be no successor. Such a character will be absolutely extraordinary in the future. Meng Han, I have seen 2 adults. Elder Ming of Bibo Tianfu also spoke, and his posture was also very low. How could he not think of what Zhaoani could think of? Although Duan Lingtian has some connections with their Bibo Tianfu, he also knows that it is for Xiao Tian's face, and the other party doesn't need to give him face now. Old Ming, the palace master has already greeted me. You just go directly to Tongtian Tower. Duan Lingtian nodded to Ming Han, not alienated, but not enthusiastic either. After all, it was his first contact with Ming Han, and just as the other party thought, it was all for Xiao Tian's sake. Go. Feng Qingyang also saw Ming Han's eagerness to try, and said with a faint smile, I'm afraid you are the first person to enter the Tongtian Tower since the Tongtian Tower appeared. Thank you two adults for your success. Ming Han was very excited, and after he finished speaking, he dodged into the Tongtian Tower. Tongtian Tower has been open for a while, and today finally ushered in the first passerby. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.